Ho ho ho! Welcome back, YouTube. All right. My name is Skits. Sorry for being all over the place. I'm trying out new things and I'm a little bit overly conscious about the things that I'm doing differently in this YouTube video. For example, I'm placing the camera this way so that I could be more forward facing you, as in this angle that I normally have where I'm more sideways while I talk to you. So it feels a little weird and it's kind of making a little bit of noise in my head. But anyways, what's up? What's good? I hope you're in your happy, safe, and cozy place. And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. And I'm going to be talking about a Netflix series by the name of Adolescence, which just premiered this year and not very long ago on Netflix. And yeah, I watched it with Mrs. Skits over a course of 4 days, and I just want to talk about it, you know? And by the way, disclaimer or warning, if you do not want to be, spoiled, I will remind you right now, you can click away this video before I start yapping about the series, that I will talk about the plot and I will talk about the things that I liked and I disliked. So if you want to watch it and then you want to come back to this video to hear what I have to say about it, now's the time to do so. And if you don't mind spoilers like me, I'm basically a very spoiler tolerable person. Yeah, just sit back, relax, and enjoy. So I'm gonna read what the Wikipedia has to say about this briefly, because Wikipedia kind of narrates what I want to tell more effectively than I would, right? So it says here, and I'll copy the text: Adolescence is a British television psychological crime drama series created by Jack Thorne and Stephen Graham and directed by Philip Barantini. It centers on a 13-year-old schoolboy named Jamie Miller, Owen Cooper, who was arrested after the murder of a girl in his school. All right, so yeah, that is the basic plot and the basic storyline of the series. It only has 4 episodes long, all right? So it is very easy to watch regarding time constraints, all right? And what Mrs. Skits and I did was watch an episode a day during a span of like 5 days. I think we watched the first one on a Monday, second one Tuesday, we took a break on Wednesday, then the third one on Thursday, and then the last one on Friday. And let me tell you, all right, it is an absolute roller coaster of a ride. It is very, very, very intense. Now, that's something that I kind of like, enjoy, and dislike at the same time, because after you're done watching the last episode, I personally had such a feeling of, being overwhelmed by the intensity of how the whole plot was being played out and the things that were happening, that it's one of these, works of art, it's one of these television series, or it's one of these pieces of media that you only want to watch once in your lifetime, all right? If somebody would invite me to watch Adolescence for a second time, I would decline, all right? I got what I wanted to get out of it the first and only time I pretend on watching that series, Adolescence, but it is very good. What does it have going for it, all right? The acting is absolutely immaculate. I think every character, from Jamie, his father, his mother, his sister, the detectives, his peers in school, the psychologist that interviews Jamie on the 3rd episode, and how the family has a certain situation and they interact with, other characters in the 4th and final episode. I think the acting is just immaculate. I don't have to, give a lot of constructive criticisms or any negative feedback regarding that, because at least I was, pretty much astounded and impressed by the acting in this series. Now, the plot is also pretty straightforward and kind of, intense. Now, the thing is, Jamie, during the first episode, this 13-year-old kid, he murders his classmate, right? A female student. I can't forget her name right now. I can't remember her name, sorry. But you are under the impression during a lot of the, first episode that he's kind of innocent. You don't know, actually. You're kind of in this gray area. Did he do it or did he not? But the detectives have overwhelming evidence that he did carry out the murder because he was filmed, right? And there is footage of him taken by like a surveillance camera in I think it was a parking lot, right? And that's where the murder takes place. That's where Jamie kills this kid with a knife. And, overwhelming evidence, pretty damning evidence, if I must say. And, throughout the beginning and almost all of the episode, you have Jamie's father believing the kid's innocent, right? But when the detectives show this surveillance footage of Jamie assassinating his classmate, his father's just like, oh my God. And you're probably not as surprised because, like I said, you're in this gray area where you were thinking that he is maybe innocent or he could likely be the killer. You're going to find out that Jamie is quite the odd character. And by the third episode, where a psychologist interviews him, you get to see the true Jamie, right? The true character, the true essence of Jamie. And it is quite disturbing, all right? This kid looks like a sardine, but he behaves like he is your typical cliche anime villain who is just on a path of chaos and destruction, all right? The interactions between him and this psychologist in the third episode kind of leave you with a little bit of disgust, all right? I was kind of appalled, and I was like, damn, man, this kid, Jamie, is like as sinister as it gets, all right? And in one hand, it's pretty fascinating, but in the other hand, it's also quite disturbing, all right? And let me say that the taste, the flavor that you have, or at least I had, in my mouth while I was watching this was just like a lot of, disgust. Just a lot of like, damn. And yeah, by the end of the fourth episode, you are left just like, in complete awe and disgust, I guess. You're also feeling sorry for the family, for Jamie's father, mother, and sister, because, bro, it's just very, very, very disturbing. And one of the other things that I really enjoyed was the fact that the entire series, from the beginning of episode 1 to the end of episode 4, the series is shot in only one take. It doesn't have any cuts. It doesn't have any ridiculous edits. The camera doesn't pan from one character to another. It's just a fluid one take or one shot from start to finish. And I can't remember the last time I watched something like this. And I have to say, pretty amazing. I think the actors and the directors and the crew, they had to organize themselves in such a particular way that if they messed up the dialogue or the takes, they would have to probably redo it again, right? That's at least what I'm thinking. So I think the cast and crew and the cameraman, everybody, they had to put in a lot of work to be able to pull this off in one take, right? And I think this is absolutely amazing, all right? Probably one of my favorite things about the series. So what did I dislike? I think the plot, like if you were to watch this, I think you could agree with me. It's just very intense. You're just left after like the first episode, during the second episode and beyond, and more particularly episodes 3 and 4, you're just left with this feeling, this eerie feeling of disturbing intensity that continuously lingers throughout the entire episode. So yeah, it's not a very pleasant feeling to have as somebody who's trying to enjoy a piece of entertainment. And like when I said to you guys in the beginning that you're only gonna wanna watch this only once, all right? If you watch Adolescence perhaps more than twice, maybe you wanna study certain filming techniques, or you perhaps want to study the dialogue, or you want to get into like the psychology of the characters. Maybe somebody like Jamie is he's a very interesting character. But yeah, like the feeling that you have while you watch Adolescence is just pretty disturbing and pretty overwhelming. And I'm not one, who personally enjoys this kind of psychological intense drama, all right? But I think they make a really, really good job in making you feel that way, all right? So for me, it's like a double-edged sword. Maybe you could argue it's like a strength, but at the same time, it's part of a weakness as well, all right? But regardless of that, I think that is the only con, right? For me specifically. Everything else is just immaculate, all right? So good things. It's only 4 episodes. It's a pretty short watch. You don't have to invest a lot of time watching it. The acting is immaculate. The filming technique used, the one take, is immaculate, all right? I think the subject matter is pretty interesting. The plot is also pretty interesting. And the only negative thing I really have to say about it, is just like you have this overwhelming, eerie, intense feeling in which you're disturbed for just a great part of the watch, right? And I just wanted to talk about it. Maybe I'm going to review more things in the future if you guys like this type of content. I'm personally wanting to, just make a video about anything that happens in my life or anything that I enjoy or watch or consume. And if you guys watched Adolescence, what do you guys think about it? Wait a second. Jesus Christ. Let me know in those comments down below. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Do you plan on watching it? And I'll see you in the next YouTube video. Was I like hunched like this almost all video? I need to learn how to sit back and relax. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is Skits out. Hopefully you're having a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.